Where are you located, Lisa? Chicago. That's where I was born. Only lived there, I think, for a little while, maybe up to 2 years old. Hi, Linda. Oh, Lisa's in Virginia, and Nikki, is it? Chicago. Oh, where are you in Massachusetts, Denise? I'm in Brockton. Kingsborough, north of Boston. I'm on the South Shore. Trinidad. Wow, that's cool. Oh, well, we got a couple minutes to 1. Did you get my announcement through? Oh, Lawrence, another north of Boston. Lights. Gotta turn on my other light. You know, I have a great appreciation for all those guys in the movies who set up lights and electrical and get the lighting just right, the sound. My husband and I probably spent 2.5 hours yesterday on this little setup. In fact, I'll show you what he made for me. He made, I asked him to make a stand so I could show you guys my work table, which is, here's the camera. There it is. That's my work table. And this is what he made for me. Just out of stuff from the basement. He took some drawer guides. Isn't that cool? And so now I can put my phone or my tablet, and it will poke through that little hole and look down on the table. And then it slides back in. So that's kind of fun. Very clever. It looks nothing like the design I drew for him. It's actually much better. Although my muse gets fancy. Yeah, I like to keep my desk clean as much as I can. Look back for a minute. I'm, well, very organized, as you can probably see from my space. My son calls it resetting to default. Whenever I finish a project, I just have to put the table back to as empty as I could possibly make it. So that's my default. Hi, Janet. Hey, everyone. All right, it's 1 o'clock now, so I am going to flip you around and just bear with me. You might want to close your eyes for a minute. I'm going to set the camera up on my cool little thingy. I'll show you it again. Here it is. I'm going to put you up there, and then you can look down at my table, and we can do some creating. Sorry, I know this is probably making you nauseous. There we go. Oh, here we go. Okay. So in case you can't tell, this is, oh gosh. I just realized I carefully plugged in the lapel mic to my phone that is doing the recording, and then I didn't put it on my lapel. So you can probably hear me now. I don't know if you could hear me before. I'm sorry. Hopefully that is better now. Oh, thank you, Belly. I'm glad you like my tutorials. Oh, it's awesome to see everybody here. That's very exciting. So I'll tell you a little bit about why, well, actually, let's just get in. And if you have questions, I would love to do my best to answer them. What I thought was I have this dish on my table of stuff that is in need of repairing or redoing. Because, well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I think I'll start with this bracelet. This was one that came from a jewelry subscription kit. I absolutely love it. It is my colors, purples. And I love their designs. I'll put a link to them. I can't remember their name now, but they sent me one of their kits last year, and I did a video on it. I'll put a link to that too. I have my little piece of paper here that anything you guys want me to give you a link to, just mention it, and I'll make sure that once this is all done, I will put links to everything that I can. But yeah, let's see, purple bracelet. Link. Okay. So anyways, this is a good example of what can go wrong in a piece of jewelry, and that is simply that your crimps don't hold. Now, thankfully, one half of the crimp did. So you can see here the wire popped out of just one side, but it stayed in the other side, which is good, because if it had popped out of the other side, then I'd have lost all my beads. Have I ever thought of doing a jewelry line, Linda? No. And I'll tell you why. I actually did sell jewelry in my Etsy shop for a while there. But I didn't love doing it. So what I'm going to do, and this is a good trick, is just put my hand on here and try to keep these all in order while I pull that out. Let's see. Ta-da! Okay. So you'll just have to, if that happens, oh, well, that pulled out way too easily for comfort. So it's probably a good thing I had to redo this, or I may have lost the whole thing. Looks like I didn't do much of a job of crimping that. But back to your question about doing a jewelry line. I actually did have jewelry that I sold in my Etsy shop. But selling, it's tough, because what I like to make is complicated. And complicated, well, it takes time, and you have to charge for your time. Or you should charge for your time. And I would find myself making like simple things just to sell them, and then of course they were crap. Because anything that you make, it just shows the intention behind it. So I was making it just to sell it and to make money, and I wasn't happy with it. So the day I discovered I could actually make a living, slowly building, making a living doing tutorials, I gave up trying to sell like made jewelry, unless somebody wants something specific. Oh, thank you, that Simply Annie, that it is coming in loud and clear. Yeah, my husband bought this lapel mic, and I've never used it. Maybe I should use it in my videos. Hi from Georgia. Let's see. What is your best recommendation for looping into your clasps? I don't quite know what you mean by that. Well, I'm going to just find my, oh, here they are. These are great little things. These are essential, especially if you're a klutz like me. Just pop that onto the beading wire. I don't know what you mean without breaking off. What is it? Yeah, they're great. So because I pretty much kept that in order, I'm just gonna, hopefully it'll work out the same and repair this. The reason I decided to do this chat today, I'll tell you a little bit about it. You said a lot of you guys watch my videos on YouTube. I put up one every week. I put one every other week it's on Tuesday, and then on the opposite weeks it's on Fridays. So that's one video every week. I also make 2 videos every month for my patrons, and I also make 2 tutorials every month for Create Along. And for the past several months, I've kind of been feeling like I'm on a hamster wheel. You know, I finish one just in time to start the next one. Now, it's funny, when all this coronavirus stuff came up, it occurred to me that, you know, I make my living online. I work from home. And although I don't anymore, I used to homeschool my kids. And so what's all new to everybody these days kind of is looking like a regular everyday to me. Quarantine that's kind of what I've been doing for years, is I stay home and do my own thing. So I was thinking, and turns out wrongly, that nothing was going to change. I could just keep up my usual everyday schedule. And then so the way it works is on Thursdays, I have little pop-ups, reminders that remind me I need to do this and that, because with all those videos every month, I keep a strict, very organized schedule, because that's who I am. And last Thursday, it popped up to start planning a video for YouTube. Because what I do is I start planning usually on Thursday. I mean, often I'm thinking about it for weeks in advance, but I actually sit down and start really planning something on a Thursday. And then I have Friday, Saturday. I try not to work on Sundays, that's the Lord's Day, but to place an Amazon Prime order if I need something, or run to the store. And then on Mondays, I'll record and edit the video. And then on Tuesdays, I write the blog post and all the social media things, tags and such, and then it would go up the following Tuesday. So the video that I was supposed to have planned last Thursday, have recorded yesterday, would have gone up a week from today, next Tuesday. And I saw plan jewelry video, clay or jewelry video, and I couldn't do it. Even though my schedule hasn't changed, with all this stuff going on in the world, I was just so distracted. I couldn't face it. And, you know, for all of you, I would say be okay with not being okay. Even if you're not hugely impacted yet, a lot of people are, but not all of us. It's a big distraction in our minds. You know, give yourself a break. This past weekend, I actually made myself a weekend things list. I was watching some free classes from Blueprint now. It used to be Craftsy. And I was thinking, oh, you know, I'm going to sit down and make those wire bracelets, and I'm going to do this and that. And I made myself this long list of things I could do over the weekend, and I spent the whole weekend reading. I read a novel or 2. Oh, that's a good question, Simply Annie. What do you do with your jewelry after your tutorials? Sometimes I wear it. Sometimes I give it as a gift, but most of it piles up. I have boxes and boxes of bits and pieces. The thing about selling it is that is a whole other, it's a whole nother job of writing descriptions and taking, well, I guess I already have the pictures, but taking pictures and writing descriptions and listing it on Etsy, and then packaging and selling it, shipping it. It piles up. I have 5 of these little boxes. Let's see, this one's a repair or redo box. Just a few things I've made. Some I'm at a loss. Let's see, this is also a repair or redo. And so often after I finish the video, I will just like literally chuck it into the box. Like this one, I kind of made a mistake on. I really like this one, but oh my gosh, one person does not need so much jewelry. This one is completed needs findings. So in here, like these are pieces I just made for a video for my patrons. I love them. This was made from another polymer clay teacher's class. Yeah, sometimes this is a class that's listed in my Etsy shop. They just sit in these boxes. Sometimes, like for Mother's Day coming up in the U.S. at the beginning of May from my mom, I'll dig through here and maybe find something from my mom. I don't know why this is in here. I really like it. I ought to wear it. But how many pieces of jewelry does a person need? And this is only a small sampling of, they just sit here. I would love to find a way of getting them to somebody who would love and appreciate them. That would be great. But I'm only one person, and I just do not. Remember that hamster wheel I was mentioning? If you were to tell me, no, you have to now sell things, I think I might lose it. Do I have tutorials on how, oh, hi Robin, good to see you. Do I have tutorials on how to make a living making jewelry tutorials? No, I haven't yet accomplished that, so I don't think I'm qualified to make that tutorial. I would say just entering, it's a whole lot of hard work, actually. It's of probably 20% creating and 80% marketing and business stuff. It's a lot of work. So did I miss anything here? Yes, I'm like yakking away, and it's funny when I make videos after I finish editing, I'll often look back and say, "Oh my goodness, you missed that." I don't see it when I'm doing it. I just see it when I'm watching the video back. So did I miss anything here? I think we just have these two fire polish. Isn't this just so pretty? I just love these colors and these. This is not my design. This was, like I said, it was a jewelry kit that was sent to me, and I was so happy with the colors. It was just yummy. I love to wear this. So that little trick of holding the beads down when you slide out the wire that's no longer working was very helpful. All right, so now I've got that restrung. So anyways, I was telling you why I'm doing this live stream. Well, first of all, I have been thinking about doing a live stream for a long time, and I just haven't found the time to set it up. Like I said, my husband and I probably spent a good 2.5 hours yesterday just setting everything up. I was impressed. You know, I love to watch behind the scenes things for TV and movies, and I was really, you know, you always see them talk about how much time the actors spend sitting around and waiting for a setup, and I'm like, gosh, what takes so long? Well, now I know. And this is just a tiny little setup. It's not much to it. I have 2 lights and my little camera thingy. So there's the crimp, and make sure, let's slide this down so I have a little bit more room to play with on the other end. There. And let's, I'm going to use crimp covers, so I'm actually going to use chain nose pliers and really flatten that down, because what I don't want is for this to come apart again. I'm just really thankful that I didn't lose all my beads when it did come apart. I have had that happen walking through a store, and suddenly you hear bop, 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 bop. And you know, that's all your beads. Let's do this. And you can crawl around on the floor and look for them, or just keep your dignity and walk away. Count it a loss. The selling part is a lot of work. I agree with you that, you know, it's a commitment. It's a lot of work to sell your pieces. It's a whole different business than making tutorials. And I love the teaching, and I don't care so much for the selling. All right, I'm pulling really, 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 really hard on that, and it's not going anywhere, so hopefully that will hold. And we'll trim that off. But I would say for any of you who want to do something creative for a business, you probably can count on spending at least half, if not a whole lot more, of your time on the business end than actually creating. So here I have some crimp covers, so we'll cover that and make it look pretty. And I have crimp cover pliers, but I hate them. So what I use is actually crimping pliers. I've got that little round bit. And sometimes they make a dent in the crimp cover. But if you just try to be gentle, but yeah, let's see how that just picks it up very nicely. And we'll pop that over the crimp and squeeze gently. And that looks pretty good from here. So then the other end, and the other end is always the tricky one, because over here you don't have to worry about tension. You just need to have it on there. I guess I cut a long enough piece of stringing wire. So back to, the live stream. I just decided that, first we put on the crimp. I decided I could not handle the thought of planning a video, recording it, editing it, taking photos, writing a blog post, putting all the links in the blog post for you, which I always do, and I'm happy to do it, but I couldn't face it. But it occurred to me that this now is not a good time to stop putting up creative content for people, because I know, you know, so many people, even people who aren't creative on a regular basis, are turning to the arts and creativity now as just a way to distract their minds and be occupied. That's a good question, Annie. When using crimp tubes, is it better to flatten the crimp tube or use a crimper? Well, these are crimp beads. I haven't had a lot of luck with crimp tubes. I'm leaving a little bit of space here. I don't want it real tight, because see, I'm leaving a little slack. If I'm going to cover it with a crimp cover, I think most of the time it's more secure to just flatten it. But if you can't cover it with a crimp cover, if you don't have enough space or whatever, the design doesn't allow it, then crimping pliers will work. It's often just a matter of lost my train of thought there. It's often just a matter of the proportions of the size of the crimp bead and the wire you're using. So I would say doing what I'm doing here, really giving that a good squeeze and flattening it, and then just test. I am pulling on this. I know you can't see it on camera. I'm pulling on this really hard. Yeah, that is very secure, and it's not the most attractive thing, but I'm going to cover it with a crimp cover. So it really depends on what you have. Is teaching more rewarding than selling? Oh, that's a good question. I think it depends on who you are. You know, it's funny. When I was in high school, there was a girl I went to school with, and I remember one day she said, with this like dreamy, starry-eyed look in her face, "I want to be an elementary school teacher." And I just about gagged. I was like, yuck. I do not want to teach. Oh, blah. And then in my adult life, I just kept finding myself in teaching positions. I ended up homeschooling my kids, and and then I found with my creative work that I really enjoyed teaching. Honestly, I cannot sit down and make a project without in my head explaining to you all how I'm doing it. So there's that. So we are repairing jewelry today because with all the distractions going on in the world today, and I keep seeing it coming out with all the email newsletters I'm getting, make the most of this time that you have and, learn a new skill. Well, you know what? Our brains are kind of distracted. In some ways, it almost feels like the process of grief that we're going through. I've felt that a few times. And I'm not a high-strung, easily freaked out person. I'm pretty laid back and easygoing. And I don't get anxious and jittery about things. And yet, my mind has been occupied. I wake up in the morning and kind of like with grief, where you wake up and then suddenly you're like, oh, this is what's going on. Wow. At least I was able to forget about it for a while. Oh, hi, Angela. Good to see you. Yeah, so I would say be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time to do nothing. Watch some TV. Like I said, I spent the whole weekend. I thought I was going to get all kinds of things done, and I spent the whole weekend. I watched Outlander twice, and I read a book. So there. And a project like this, going through my repairs dish, and for those of you who came in late, here it is. This is something easy that you can do. It's a little bit creative. It's probably something that gets put off, but it's easy. And then you'll have a sense of accomplishment, and who knows, you may find yourself leaping into another project. Speaking of which, let's move on to this guy. Thanks, Robin. Very nice. Oh, yeah, you spend more time creating and never have time to post on Etsy. Well, that's tricky if you're trying to make a living with it, Janet. You have to decide, are you going to or not? So this is a piece I made for Polymer Clay Adventure 2020, this year. It's actually coming up in November in the Polymer Clay Adventure. They're releasing their classes this year, I think 2 a month. And yeah, I somehow drew November. I know a lot of people signed up just to get this class. And this was one of the pieces that I made with a combination of polymer clay and epoxy clay. And epoxy clay, I think my epoxy clay is old because he is not sticking. I've been wearing the other ones. I sort of love them. But I want to wear him because I've been all about turquoise lately, and so I need to repair him. And what I've got, if any of you get the $1 bead box, the bead subscription, I save these for glue. They work great. And I'm horrible. My husband tells me, that you're supposed to clean this glue off the threads. I suppose that would be good. Oh, that's a good question, Lila. Of all your crafts, what do you enjoy most and reading doesn't count? Oh, yeah, I love to read. I mean, I call it, so I'll do like creative things myself, and then I'll go and watch a TV show or read a book and say, okay, now I'm enjoying the fruits of somebody else's creativity. Of all the ones I enjoy the most, all right. Actually, it's been a while since I've been able to do it regularly, but anything involving fire. I love lamp work bead making. That is where you have a torch, you have a flame shooting out here, and you have rods of glass that you melt. And a friend taught me how to do that when my 2 boys were teenagers and life was pretty stressful with the teenagers. And I would sit down in front of that torch and I could feel my blood pressure just drop. And I just found it so relaxing. And I realized, I thought it was just, I don't know, I thought it was the creating with the glass or something. But then I realized sometime later I was sitting down with a butane torch, either soldering or maybe just annealing some metal. And I felt the same thing. And I said, my youngest son, Dan, we were very thankful to the Lord that he never managed to burn down our house while he lived here growing up. He kind of liked to play with fire, matches, and such. And yeah, I just say it's God's mercy that he never burned down our house. And then I realized, all right, I guess he comes by his pyromania honestly, because I, for some strange reason, find it very relaxing to sit in front of fire and work with it. So that's, yeah, Lila, that's to answer your question, that would be my favorite, is the bead making and lamp work. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done it in a while because through a variety of circumstances that I won't go into, I just didn't have a space to do it anymore. And I think it's good in a way because it led me out of desperation to sculpt, because I really wanted to get into sculpting in the glass. And out of desperation to sculpt, I turned to these packages of polymer clay that I had from doing work with stuff with my boys when they were younger. And I will say that polymer clay is a much more approachable medium than lamp work, because lamp work you need a torch and you need an oxygen and a propane setup. And oh, that's right, I forgot. That reminds me, I was going to light my little candle here. My other son got this for me for Christmas, and I find it very relaxing to have this lit and sitting on my table. I just be careful not to put anything flammable close to it. This is a piece I keep making these and I keep fixing them because it's a really pretty brooch and I like to wear it on my winter coat, but it's really not a good design for a brooch because it keeps getting caught on things and breaking. I'm using E6000 and you can kind of see these whitish bits here. I have in the past used super glue to glue it, but super glue dries brittle, so I thought this time I would try E6000 because the nice thing about E6000 is that it dries flexible. It has a bit of flex. I don't know how well that is going to hold. And my E6000 is old. You can tell it's pretty goopy and it's already kind of drying out just from the time I squeezed it out of the tube. That's a mess. I don't know. Oh, stop that. Don't do that thing. All right, so there's a closet pyro. Yeah, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even realize it till one day I said, oh, okay, I guess that's where my son gets it from, and I didn't even know it. All right, so we'll set those aside to dry. So that's 3 pieces fixed. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, here's a piece that doesn't so much need fixing as just redoing. I've been getting the Potomac bead box every month from them, and I really like that it comes with the materials you need to make a design, and then it comes with a whole bunch of other things that you can just play with. So you get a pattern, like here's this one from March, which I'll talk more about in a minute, and it included all of the things, not in those colors, but it included all of the things you needed to make those. And in this case, it included all of the beads to make this. And I did this little, it's kind of a peyote stitch bail. And you know what? I don't like it. I love the color of this diamond. And I like the dangles, but I do not like this. So what I did was I ordered from Fire Mountain Gems couple of pinch bales, and they're just what they say. You pinch them around, yeah, whatever. You can see they've got those little teeth, and you just squeeze them closed. So I think I am going to take this apart. Let me find my scissors. So a couple of you were saying, where did they go? Oh, they're right there in front of me. That's where they are. That you work other jobs to pay for your hobby. Yeah, I had thought of that. Well, back in 2008, when things tanked, and my husband is also self-employed, and so they were tanking for him too. He told me, you need to look into getting a job. And at the time, I had been blogging for about 5 years, and I pulled out my resume. Of course, it was tough because I'd been homeschooling for quite a few years, and so I'll just sort these out and put them back in their tubes. I'd been homeschooling for quite a few years. I'd worked odd jobs, but I dusted off my resume and tried to, make it look good. I'm very organized. I've done a lot of organizing and things. And I got a lot of callbacks, but, one lady said to me, oh my goodness. I had been doing my own thing for quite some time, and I made that clear. I was independent and, but a hard worker, and had these organizational skills. And one lady told me, she says, well, I don't know if you would be able to get up to an alarm clock every morning. I've got to be one of the most self-disciplined people I know. Because I get up and do all this stuff without anybody else telling me to do it. Are you kidding me? But anyways, I had some interviews, and it just, nothing was happening. And I decided that, the thought actually of going into an administrative job kind of chilled my bones. And so I did put an effort in because my husband had asked me to. But then I decided to really start working hard at doing this as a business. Yeah, I am task-oriented, Lila. Self-motivated. I want to get things done. I do, determined, stubborn. I do get them done. Okay. Well, so you can see I'm just going to take this apart. And there's no shame in that. It didn't take that long to put together. And I just don't like it, so, it wasn't a waste of time. It's a cute little project. I don't know, something about the shape didn't do much for me. So now we'll move those aside. I'll sort those out later. So now I have these 2 pinch bales. I think I know which one I'm going to like better. And I think it's not going to be this one. What do you think? Okay, so there's that. I spent 20 minutes yesterday untangling this chain because I had it in a baggie. It brought me back to being a child. I was such a careless child. I don't know how many necklaces I broke and tangled and kinked. Yeah, see, I think that is really overwhelming for that. Let's try the other one. Yeah, fire. There's something amazing about fire. We used to have a lot of fires out in a chimney on our patio, especially when the boys were younger. And yeah, you can just sit and stare at it for hours. I love it when it burns down to embers and you just watch them. They're amazing. Let's try this one. Put that a little bit more. What do you think? Which one do you guys like better? I think I like the leaves better. I'm just going to actually kind of move this off to the side. Both are too big? Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, I think of the two, I think this one, but I think that you make a good point. Is it add jewelry? I think you're right. They both are too big. Well, I'll just have to place another order of Fire Mountain gems, huh? Or somebody, maybe Art Beads, actually. They just sent me a coupon today because I didn't buy something from their recent sales. I'm like, oh, I got to remember to skip their sales more often, and then they'll send me a coupon to come back and place an order. Yeah, I think you're right that they're both too big, but maybe something more like this one with the leaves, something a little bit more dainty. All right. Okay. Come on. There we go. I just, they called it a square donut. I don't know what it's, but I just love that color. Yum. All right, well, then this will have to be set aside for another day. And these, where are they? I'm going to grab a dish. Be right back. And I'll sort those out later. Because honestly, I can hardly see them right now. So I'll use my magnifying light and do that. But it's actually way too bright to bring in close enough here for me to work under that with you. It blows out everything. So we'll save that for later. And move on to something else. Now what time is it? Oh, wow. 40 minutes have gone by like that. I had a thought for next week, because I'm thinking of doing this every week until we'll see. And I wondered how many of you would be interested in coming next week and creating a fairy house on a bottle or a jar. It's like I actually had this bottle from, I think it was holding avocado oil, and I finished it up and looked at it and said, ooh, save that one, because it's just kind of a cool shape. But then there's other jars, like just a little jam jar. Probably be easier. I might do something smaller because it's surprising. I mean, even this doesn't look huge, but this will actually make a pretty big fairy house. Hang on, I'll be right back. Let's see. To give you an idea of scale and proportion, this one was made on a little votive holder. And I actually have a tutorial for how to make this in my Etsy shop. This was one of my first ones I sold. I made it just for me, and then I wrote to Polymer Cafe magazine and wondered if they'd like it, and they did. So this was made on a little glass votive holder. And then I had a tea tin. I don't know if I'm going to get this whole thing in the camera. And I've been looking at that tea tin and waiting to finish up the tea, because every time I looked at it, I thought of, it doesn't all fit on the screen. I thought of a dragon up on a castle turret. And so I made this. And this is a huge project. This took me a couple of weeks to make. So that's why I'm saying we should probably do something maybe this size. So I was thinking maybe next week I would put together a materials list during the week. I'll share it on Facebook. And then we can get together and make a smaller version of this one. And maybe we'll make a dragon. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your ideas. I'll keep it simple. We want things that are simple right now. So yeah, and you said you're new to polymer clay. We'll keep it very simple and do something that's just fun and creative. The cool thing about glass jars is what you can do is actually build on them upside down, and then you build a kind of a framework, like a base underneath it, and then you can put fairy lights on the inside, and then they will shine through your little windows. This one I pulled the glass off, but you can just build it on the glass and leave it on. So that's what I'm thinking of doing next week. Let me know. Just something fun and relaxing to do. So what are you guys working on now? Yeah, yeah, that's right, Kim. I will put it together, a list of materials. Yeah, this one, if you want to learn this one, I'll put a link to this. Let me write that down, Fairy House, in my Etsy shop. It's a fun little project. I think the fairy projects that I have on my Etsy shop, they're PDFs, so you can print them out, and great to do with the kids, actually. Yeah, maybe not super young. You write stories about dragons, Margaret. Margaret, I like that idea. I'm not a big storyteller. I write simple stories, but I would love to. I've often thought of collaborating with an author who could write stories about my dragons. A sterling bracelet with mosaic gem cabochons. Wow, is it wirework ad jewelry? So this, I had this on some leather cord which broke. So I found I had these little end caps and thought I would redo it because I really like this. This is from a class that was at Craft Art EDU. Oh, it looks like one of those broke off. I don't know if you're familiar. They had a lot of, oh, okay, sterling, so like sterling sheet? Huh. Just bezels. I haven't done much with that. The one bezel I made, I managed to crack my cabochon. But yeah, so I happen to have these little tiny end caps. So this one I glued in and it's holding fine. This one I've glued twice in Ireland. Wow. How are things in Ireland? Are they crazy like the rest of the world? So I'm going to try to clean out the glue. Sorry, whenever yeah, easy projects all pre-made, right? Yeah, that's what I found. I realized nobody, like I said, everybody's minds are just distracted by this thing. It's crazy. And nobody really wants to do anything complicated, which is why I'm just repairing jewelry. Ooh, PBOs. Going up to the workshop where we're sewing bead bracelet or a stained glass project. Ooh, yeah, I love, PBO vitre. I love the PBO fantasy. I haven't done a whole lot with the vitre. So I'm trying to decide what to use for glue here. I know I didn't want to, it was such a tiny amount that I didn't want to mix up 2-part epoxy. But I've done it twice, and it hasn't held, so I think I will mix up 2-part epoxy. When all other glues fail, you can count on 2-part epoxy. And this is the one I use, and I love that it's 90 minutes. It's like you have to choose between 90 minutes or 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is just too soon because I tend to fumble and make a mess, and yeah, I'd rather have to wait and have plenty of time. So you just want equal amounts of each. In this case, it's a teeny tiny amount, little itty bitty bitty bits. Mix that really well. A Whole World of Dragons, and I'm working on the second book of a trilogy. Are you published, Margaret? I love dragons. Are they for adults? I think I first got into dragons as a kid reading Anne McCaffrey's The Dragon Riders of Pern, and I've kind of loved them ever since. What kind of PBOs did you get, Kim? Have you played with the Prism, the fantasy ones, or the Vitre? Like I said, I haven't done much with the Vitre. So, yeah, my mind has just gone blank. That happens. So here's a tip for you when you're mixing the two-part epoxy. Don't try to use the toothpick that you mixed with to put it in place, because the one that you mixed with is all goopy. I've made that mistake a number of times. Get a fresh one. Toothpicks are cheap. And this is going to be tricky as it is. Let's see. Maybe, you know what? I got this little doll needle here that I use for something else. So just be sure to clean it off well. Let's see if that works. Yeah, oh, I love the PBO paints. I've played with them a bit, and I think, yeah, the unpredictability of them, but always beautiful. All right. I'm just going to kind of fill that, and then I'm going to wipe up the excess, but I want to get enough in there. So I do not have to try to glue this for a fourth time, because there's actually been a few times I've wanted to wear this necklace. So do you guys have a pile of things to repair? How do you handle that? I just pile them up. Try painting on glass to get custom colors in small areas. That sounds like fun. All right. Now this is already stiffened because it had been in glue, so that's part of my problem before. And I'm actually going to grip it real close and see if I can really stuff it in there. And yeah, the glue is oozing out, and that's okay. One thing about doing polymer clay, I found I had a whole bunch of rubbing alcohol already on hand. So I want to put this down someplace clean. So whenever yeah, Margaret, I would love to know if I can read your books, especially trilogies and books with lots and lots of books in the series. Okay. So this is the beauty of having the 90-minute, is that you have all the time you need to really clean it up. And don't forget to clean up my needle here. This is a doll needle. It's a hardened needle. It's 5 inches long, and I actually bought these at first to make dolls because I did that for a while. But I use this for so many things in polymer clay and jewelry making. It's just a great tool. And here's another tip for you. If you want to know when the glue, the epoxy on your piece is cured, just set this aside someplace safe And when this is cured, then you'll know that this is cured. So I'm going to put these away someplace where they won't make a mess or get messed up. You might consider self-publishing, Margaret. A few years ago, I actually was going to publish a book of dragon tutorials. I had several chosen. I sent out proposals to publishers, and I actually heard back from one who wanted to publish my book on of dragon tutorials, polymer clay dragon tutorials. I was very excited. But then I decided to look into it further, and I spent the best $150, $160 I ever have in my life, and joined the Authors Guild, because one of the perks of the Authors Guild is you get a lawyer to review the contracts for you. And this lawyer reviewed the contract and let me know that it was a horrible, terrible contract. It was predatory. There was even a clause in that contract that I had to commit to having my next 2 books on the same topic with them with the same terrible terms. So make sure to do your homework as far as legalities. I would have been writing that book for nothing. It would have been very sad. So this is a loomed piece that I did that I absolutely love, but my button popped off the other day. Again, I was really glad it happened at home, so I can fix it. So now we'll do a little sewing. Sketching a design that just pops in my mind. Do you do that? I am not much of a drawer, Linda. My drawing is not great. Definitely prefer 3D. I definitely prefer sculpting to drawing. But sometimes if I have an idea that I want to keep track of, that is too big. If I have an idea, sketch. I want to know more about this dragon world of yours, Margaret. That just sounds... I love the idea. And I cannot see what I'm doing. That's too big. So, yeah, I need a skinny little one. And forgive me here, I got to bring down my magnifying light. It might be a little bright and probably... Oh, now I can see. Yay. I love my magnifying light. I couldn't do half of what I do without it there. Okay, I'll move it out of the way now. Okay. So a little bit of sewing. You know, this is just very relaxing, and it feels like I've accomplished something, especially if I mostly empty out that little dish by the end of the day. That's terrific. And let's see. Now, which side was the front? This is very interesting, this loom work piece that I did. I've used the, I think, 3mm check fire polish beads and 11/0 seed beads. But can you see here that not all seed beads are created equal? These purple beads and these gold ones are both 11/0s, but you can really see when you put 10 in a row how much smaller those are. So it kind of pushes in, which I don't mind with this design, but something to keep in mind when you're working with them, that if you need them to be exactly the same size, they are not always. All right, so I'm going to figure out which is the, does it matter? I guess it really doesn't.
Another little trick for you, sewing on a button for something like this. Some of the thread's going to show on the back, but if you don't want the knot to show on the back, well, don't put it on the back. Put it under the button. So put that there. Come back up. Do repairs all the time when you're procrastinating or stuck on a project. I think it's actually a good way of procrastinating, to do something easy and mindless, I guess. It's not so much mindless, but it's different than having to create, out of something brand new. And it's a way to keep your hands busy and let your mind work on creative things. So now, because I put that knot there, the button will be covering it, and then you won't see it. You'll just see these little tiny bits of black on the back. And I should probably do a few of these. I don't know why it came apart. Maybe it's the button. Your dad used to do polymer clay jars and beads. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, you know what I realized? I was, I think over 50 years old, and I suddenly realized that everything I did, I went to the sculptural aspect. If I made quilts, and I quilted for quite a few years, and I made a lot of quilts, they were always textural. I always went for textures or adding appliques that had, they were padded. It was always something sculptural about the quilting I did. And then I did scrapbooking for a while too. And I realized all my scrapbook pages were lumpy. I couldn't make them flat. In fact, I thought I was a good candidate for digital scrapbooking, because I thought, wow, what a fantastic thing to buy, like a digital scrapbooking kit with flowers, and I could, or whatever, pattern paper, and I could put it into Photoshop and change it into any color I wanted, make it any size I wanted. That just sounded ideal. Because I love playing in Photoshop. But to actually do it, it left me cold, because it's all flat. Whoopsie, did I goof? Did I do something? No. Let's see, I'm sitting here talking, I don't even know what I'm doing. You think that'll stay and not come off? I hope so, because I really like this bracelet. You can tell I'm kind of a fan of purple. Well, I'm wearing red today. I like red too, but purple. And turquoise. Oh, yeah, the Authors Guild. Yeah, I was, like I said, it was maybe, I don't know, $150, and some of the best money I ever spent, getting that information from a lawyer who knew book publishing contracts, and he went through it line by line with me, and I was blown away at, honestly, the nastiness of the company. Just the, he said at one point, he said that clause about about having to publish your next 2 books with them at the same terms. He said that was just insulting. Because if you have one successful book, then hopefully you get more money with the next one. So if my book was a success, I was locked in at the same terms. It was really bad. So, but there are a lot of good publishers out there, but you definitely have to do your homework. Oh, the Lord is always watching over me, Lila. He does. He guides our steps, for sure. Yeah. So now what I've been doing with those dragon tutorials is I've been releasing them one every year to the Polymer Clay Adventure folks. And that's worked out well. And then I put them in my Etsy shop. All right, I think I'll do one more knot and call this done. Yeah, unless you want, you're right about the seed beads, Janet. That wasn't a knot. I don't know what that was. I brought it upstairs. I did a loomed project that, well, the one I think I shared on my Instagram that had 25 different colors. And I was blown away at the difference in all the sizes. But in the end, it looks good. You don't look at it and say, oh, those are all different sizes. So that was good. Wow, there's one more thing done. And how did an hour go by? It's 2 o'clock. I can keep yakking for a while. I'm good at that. I'm so glad you guys decided to join me today. And yeah, I'm not leaving quite yet, so we'll stick around maybe another half an hour or so. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. And I actually wanted to try. This is another thing that, all right, I'm putting that on because, hey, red and purple. And sparkle, and we can all use a little sparkle these days, huh? So they just got the note yesterday that in Massachusetts they were closing down the non-essential services, stores and such that were considered non-essential. So I've been wanting to, start some seeds for my garden, tomatoes and such. I usually start around mid to the end of March. And I've been avoiding going out. I actually hadn't gone anywhere for like 8 days. And I said, all right, you know what? I need to go get some seed starting soil. And I got a few things. And then I was in Ocean State Job Lot. I think that's a New England thing. I don't know if it's like a Building 19 kind of, but they have got good prices on things like that. And I walked out, and right next to them was a liquor store. Now, I like an occasional beer. I try to do low carb, so I don't have a lot. And I said, oh, well, that's not essential, is it? And I went and got myself some and talked to the guy, and oh, no, they're not closing them down. No, I guess the liquor stores are considered essential. So, okay. So, this was, isn't this cute? This is a little earring from sorry, I'm moving all over the place here, from the March Potomac bead box. And I thought it was an adorable design, really cute. I actually used different beads than they included. And I'm not in love with the bright copper. I pulled out a few different combinations. There's actually 15, so I can make 3 samples and compare them. I love this one. This was from Hobby Lobby. What's the color? Opaque Cream AB. Isn't that pretty? I just love that little bit of sparkle. And this one was actually from a former Potomac bead box. So you can see me heading for turquoise, but I'm still not loving this bright copper. So, no, I can't use liver of sulfur to patina it because these are glass. They're not copper metal. These are glass beads. But you're kind of thinking the same way I'm thinking. I got this out to try it. This is Ranger's Vintage Patina. And hi, Patricia. And from France. Hi, is it Kit? I'm so glad you could join us. Wow, that's awesome. But this is, I'm going to have to shake it up. Now, they say that their patinas are permanent on metal once dry. Once you get that little ball going, then you know that's good. And I wondered how it would be on glass. But I thought it was worth a try because I like these beads. They're very pretty, very sweet. But I'm just not loving the bright copper. So I've got, actually I'm going to move this off so I don't make a mess. Am I? Let's see. All right. We'll just put a little corner of this. This is just one of those craft mats. And I'm not going to need more than a drop or so. Maybe 2. And we'll see how this works. I'm not sure, but I figured it was worth a try. And didn't I get out a brush? What did I do with the brush? Oh, there it is. Yeah. This is just an old scruffy brush. You know, it's funny. I went through my brushes not too long ago. And I separated out like all of my nice ones. So like these are my nice little brushes. I'm hard on my tools. These are my little ones like for miniatures, which are great. And then I have a jar with the ones that are still in decent shape that I haven't managed to wreck yet. And then I pulled out all of the messy ones and actually made this. I think this will be coming up as a tutorial in Passion for Polymer magazine, or I don't know, one of Create Along's things. I actually go for this more than I go for the nice brushes. I go for the scruffy, messy brushes because, well, just something like this. So we'll just kind of maybe kind of brush off some of the excess. I don't know. I don't know if this is even going to stick on the glass. Like I said, they say it's permanent. Oh, I just went flinging across the room. Okay. All right. How we do this? And where's my bead? I have the worst carpet for a craft studio. It is like this mottled gray. You notice I didn't even try to find that bead because the only things I find, if I hop down on the floor and look for it now, I would find things that I dropped last week. Oh, that's pretty. But will it be permanent? I don't know. Oh, I like that. I was going to do just the edges. Maybe do the edges a little darker. I do get a credit. If you join Polymer Clay Adventure through my link, Lila, I do get an affiliate payment from every person who joins. Yes, so as long as you use the link that I send out. This actually isn't alcohol ink. It's Ranger Patina. But like I said, they say that, well, yeah, it is permanent on metal. So if you paint it on metal, all right, do that too. It's permanent, which is cool. So it's like a paint. I've gotten a lot done and you've done nothing. Now that's not true, Janet. You've been relaxing and enjoying yourself. And in these days, that is something. I think you did, Lila. I actually don't get, I used to get a list of the people, like emails when people signed up through my link. But they changed the system, so I don't know who signed up through my link. No, that's too much. But I'm pretty sure, I seem to remember you telling me you were signing up, and then very shortly thereafter, I got a notification that somebody had made a purchase. So I think you did. Oh, this, hold it up to the camera. Oh, and that one's on the floor too. Gah. Well, it's a good thing they sent me 15 beads for a project that requires 10. Huh? Sorry, I just ran over the cord. Hold it up to the camera. I will try to hold it up. Let's see. Can you see? It's just kind of a messy bit of painting. I don't know. I'll have to let you know. I'll let you know next week. I'll let it dry and then I'll do the old fingernail scratch test. I have to say, I like that better than the bright copper. So, and this is actually, I don't think I have any here with me. What if I stick that in the hole? Will that go in the hole? I'm just trying to keep from flinging these across the room. Nope. All right. You know what? I'll just do this. And I'm probably going to need more paint because this dries very fast. See, that's a whole different look. Yeah, let me zoom in for you guys. I'll give you a better view. There. Is that better? Does somebody yell at me and remind me to zoom back out again when I need to? Because the way this is working, I actually have to get up on a step stool. Just got up on a step stool and did that. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is all dry already. This stuff dries fast. Oh, yeah, I have beads all over the floor in this room. It just makes me crazy. I have a little dish. This is my bead soup dish. These are, except for the shells, these are all beads that have ended up on the floor and then I've found later. All of them. Things, or some of them, yeah, random things. All beads that have ended up on the floor and then I went to look for them and found them a week later. And so they go in that dish. And maybe once a year I'll go through. See, I think that's too much. I really liked it when I was holding the tweezers. I liked having less. Sometimes more beads on the floor than on the table, yeah. Yeah, you might be right, Patricia, that alcohol ink might work better. I guess I was thinking I adore this color. I have been all about turquoise lately, and I don't know that I have an alcohol ink that's quite that color. But yeah, alcohol ink is better on glass, as long as you don't get anything alcohol-based on it. That's a good question. Do I get paid when you watch the YouTube ads? Yes, a tiny amount. So when you watch one of my videos, that's called a view for me. And I do get, I don't know, fractions of a penny from YouTube. I mean, it adds up over thousands of views. I do get like fractions of a penny for those for those views. And if you watch an ad, I get maybe a couple more fractions of a penny. So what I suggest people do is, if you want to help out a channel that you like, what I often do will just, if I'm gonna watch a video, but maybe I need to, here it goes again. Maybe I need to go get a cup of coffee first, or get a water. I'll just let the I'll let the ad play while I go get something, and then I'll come back and, maybe the video's already started, but that's okay. I can back it up. So I'll just let the ads play. I'm not, if I'm busy, I'm not going to watch an ad that I don't have time to, but I do try to let them play and get the creators a little something more. Of course, what's best is if the advertisers write ads that we want to watch. There are some that are really entertaining. There was that one on Poopery a few years ago that was hysterical. So you watch that. Right, yeah, start the video, let them play, and then go back. Yep. Yeah, Kim, I can't even find them with glasses. I have to, just feel. Oh, my gosh. I feel like I'm playing tiddlywinks with these beads. Just going everywhere. Yeah, when you vacuum, you hear that rattle, 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 and I wonder how many dollars worth of beads is that? Well, thank you, Patricia. I appreciate that. Like I said, if you're busy, if you don't want to watch them, don't. It's fractions of a penny, but it does add up. It's gonna, I just got my YouTube payment this month, and it's gonna pay a couple bills, and that's always a good thing, especially in these times. So what do you think? I don't know. I'm gonna let those dry, and I'll make one of these, and I'll share it with you on Facebook, maybe Instagram, and we'll see. I tried putting the hole. It's a little bit too. I tried putting that in the hole of the bead. It's a little bit too long. So yeah, I really like the Potomac bead box. I like that it's kind of a cross between a kit and a bead box with just random things. So you get a pattern in every month. So I got the rose petals. I don't think I used any of the beads. Well, yeah, I didn't use the 11-O's or the 15-O's that they included. But they also included the little earring posts, which you kind of bead around. It even has a little backer on it. So you kind of bead around that, and it's embedded in the earring. But you can see I have no problem with making things and taking them apart to make them the way I want. Stick them in some plasticine or clay. Yeah, oh, that's a good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, limited funds coming in now. I know. I know. My husband's been, since the first of the year, the only work he's had has been doing some stuff for our church. And now that our church isn't meeting, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to pay him. So. All right, I'm going to zoom back out again because I think I'm done with this. Oh, wrong way. Here we go. Yeah, maybe not that far, huh? Okay, we'll just do that. You don't need to see all the chaos. So give me ideas for what we can do in the upcoming weeks. Like I said, I think doing a little fairy house project next week. If you don't follow me on Facebook, I'll put the link to my Facebook group. And I will put together a list of materials. It'll be mostly clay and maybe some texture sheets, and we'll keep it simple and fun. And we'll make fairy houses on jars next week. Audio? What happened with the audio? Oh, okay. I must have just been me moving around. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, Kim. Why didn't I think to just stick those on some clay? Or even, I've got like this stuff, like poster tack, that I could have stuck them on to paint them. Ha! Sometimes. Yeah. I'm just kind of going back to see if there's any questions I missed. Yeah, all right. Yeah, let me know if there's any questions you have. Let's see. I think this, I'm not sure. I shared this in, let me move this mess. I know, I'm in the midst of chaos, which is, creative chaos is the best kind of chaos. But it is chaotic and hard to see, I know. Oh, you're under my secret. Those are my markers. So I would keep this in camera frame. There. Let's see. What have we got? Oh, this is a sad dragon tail. Like, he needs to be glued. One of my earlier ones. This is a bracelet I think I showed in the thread burner video that I did for Friday Findings. Oh, look at me, all blue. This was, I think a friend of mine was into beading, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I borrowed one of her magazines because she had brought me to a bead show, and I learned there was such a thing as cube beads, and I was fascinated. I was like, wow, they come in squares? And I borrowed one of her magazines and made this, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I think this is a terrible clasp for this. I think it does nothing for it. So I think I'm going to actually take this whole thing apart and redo it, and I'll do it better because it's pretty bad tension-wise. And I know some of the threads were popping out. I don't even know what I used. You know, I think I used nylon monofilament. Yeah. So I think I'm going to take this apart. And here's a tip for you. If you take apart jewelry, before I take it apart, I'm going to bring it over to the sink with some soapy water and a nail brush and just give it a good scrub. And it's amazing how much better the beads will look. And that's an easy way to clean the beads. The petal beads, I did a video, Patricia. Actually, these little petal beads, I did a video that I did it for my patrons, and now it's on Etsy. And I showed how to recreate some glass flower petal beads in polymer clay. And this is one we did. Don't have any of the things I made with it here with me. But I found several videos. Like there's a really cute flower petal ring, and I think a couple flower patterns that use these. So I'll link to that in the description below. Give me, I don't know, a couple hours after we're done here, and I'll be sure to put those links in. Petal. I'm writing this down. Bead, because I won't remember it. Videos. Because they're so pretty. They're just a pretty shape. Turn packing tape upside down. Right. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm just messing with tweezers, which is obviously not working. And I've got 3 beads somewhere in my craft studio. What else have I got in here? Well, these aren't really repairs. They're more things. I have to test this out. I know there's something to do with these. I bought, I was at an art camp. If I think somebody here was from Massachusetts. There is silly putty. I don't have any silly putty, but yeah. There's an it's like art camp for adults. It's in Western Massachusetts, in Williamsburg, Mass. It's called Snow Farm, and I taught there this past fall. And that was so much fun. But I bought a few things too, and I bought a ring holder, and somebody had put these on it just so you could look at it and say, oh, that's what that is. It's a ring holder. And I haven't been able to bring myself to throw them out because there must be something you can do with these. I think they are metal. They're not plastic, just by the way it's moving. I'm trying to figure out what I can do with these. They're just cheap little, I don't know. Thoughts? Ideas? Don't know. Let's see. And a friend prefer polymer clay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think definitely next week we'll do fairy jars. I've already got ideas running around my head, all of them, for what we can do that'll be fun. Mini dream catchers, okay? That's not something I've really done much of, but I could see a lot of applications for that. But a friend was clearing out her jewelry box and wireworking ideas, okay, and asked me, offered me things, and I thought these would make great textures. I thought of just making either molds with silicone molding putty or just, I love the kind of organic shape of the starfish, just pressing that into something to make a texture. especially where it's got a pave. You know, if you're looking for creative ideas, I sent out an email newsletter. I don't know when, last week, earlier this week? I don't know. Yeah, as stamps. That's kind of what I was thinking, because this one's flat. But the site formerly known as Craftsy, which is now Blueprint, was offering 2 weeks free classes. I think you have to sign up by March 31st. And they have some really great wireworking tutorials in there. Some just really nice projects, nice techniques. So if you're looking for some more wireworking, I love doing, but it's not my primary thing. So there are people who are much better at it and have much better designs. Now, aren't these sweet? I just wanted to show these off and also give you a tip while I was at it. When I was planning to teach that class up in Western Massachusetts at at Snow Farm, I made kits for all of my students, and I had to order a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it I got from Poly Clay Play, which is a great site. And I think something was back ordered, and I sent her an email. Is it Trish, I think, at Poly Clay Play? I sent her an email and asked her about it because I needed it by a certain date or it wasn't going to do me any good. And so she asked, well, how many students are you going to have? And I told her, and she included one of these little molds for every one of the students. Aren't they sweet? I just love them. So these are my tests. The dragonfly was trickier to test. Actually, the package, it was a Sculpey Ultralight that I needed. I needed another package of it for the class. She included like 10 of these little molds in with a package of Sculpey Ultralight, and it got stolen out of my mailbox. Actually, the package got ripped open and somebody took all the stuff out and left me the very sad empty envelope. And she wouldn't take my money and resent them. So I just have to brag on Trish from Poly Clay Play because I was really impressed. She sent more of the molds, and she sent the Sculpey Ultralight again and would not let me pay her for it. So I'm paying her now by telling you that if you have the opportunity, shop there because she's terrific. Poly Clay Play. But here's a little tip for you. So we got the little birdie, and he's cute, and the dragonfly. And here's the flower that you make if you mold in it. Let's see. It's going to fit one of these directions. There we go. So if you use the whole thing, you get that flower. But maybe that's too big for what you're doing. For this one, I just rolled a ball of clay and smooshed it in there. And then ended up with a smaller version. And you hadn't even know it was from the same mold. So there's just a trick. Thank you, Margaret. I love my polymer clay dragons too. They're fun. They're just so much fun to create with. Dream catchers. Okay. All right. I'm going to start compiling a list. I am going to plan on doing a live stream, I think, every Tuesday, maybe until I feel like I have my equilibrium back, and want to maybe make another video for YouTube. I'll probably do Friday findings because those are easier. I don't have to make a whole project. Oh, good. I'm glad you had good experience with her too, Lila. Yeah, Trisha's great. So I would say for at least the next month, I'm going to do a live stream every Tuesday here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I think I'm going to close it out now and actually go have my lunch. And I wish you all well. You probably don't need another person to tell you to wash your hands. But be well, be gentle with yourselves. Yeah, this is extraordinary times, and none of us. Hello from Belgium, Bridget. Yeah, none of us have experienced anything like this. Even the oldest person that I have talked to has not experienced anything like it in their lifetime. So, we'll just take care of each other and be wise. And for me, I am trusting in the Lord to take care of me no matter what happens. And yeah. So I'm wishing you all blessings from our wonderful Creator. Amen.